When I hear the words like sacrifice and duty and responsibility, something about me almost cringes. Even though I think they're a very important concept, I do think it's a little bit overrated. Let me start this video by saying that this video is not a social commentary or a political take. This essay will not talk about policies at all. What I'm trying to answer is a question of what responsibility means, especially to me. It was a theme that deeply resonated with me when I was a kid. This is why Spider-Man, for example, is my favorite superhero of all time. I even keep his lock screen in my phone. In my heart of heart, I really do feel responsible for everything in some ways. Whether it's political acts hurting others, earthquakes affecting innocents, diseases affecting people that are preventable, poverty, or other acts of violence. In so many ways, my little acts or non-acts can pave the way for that, right? I do think there's a truth to that. Many of us often feel a sense of guilt when things happen in the world that we can't help out with. Of course, it's not actually just me. There's millions of things that could influence that. In fact, even my own acts are often influenced by millions of things. I am not even quite sure if I believe in a completely free, independent agent, like a free will, based in a traditional way. Even so, I am part of the causal link in some manner, right? I was just faced with the news that there's been a painful turmoil in my birth country, Nepal. At the time of this writing, 20 plus Nepali Gen Z students have been brutally murdered while peacefully protesting. Hundreds more have been injured, and the death count is still rising. See, in Nepal, I've never known a situation where there wasn't a political corruption. Government corruption was so common and understood that most of us and our parents' generation have completely checked out of politics altogether. To fight this corruption, Gen Z took to the streets in massive ways, largely similar and inspired by the Indonesian, Southeast Asian revolts, where this flag, the Jolly Roger flag from One Piece, was being waved as a symbol of liberation and anti-corruption. Right before that, nepotism and nepo babies were being called out all over Instagram and social media. The kids of official politicians were often flaunting their massive amounts of wealth, while the regular citizens suffered. At this point, the most that was happening was people were being unfollowed and called out. But because of this, the government decided to ban 20 plus social media, including Instagram, YouTube, WhatsApp, basically completely shutting the country off from any forms of communication. For this generation, that's clearly a big mistake, and it showed. The following week, massive protests organized by Gen Z erupted. On the day of the protest, the Nepali police force brutally shot down students, many of whom were younger than 21. Live ammunition aimed at the head. There were even videos and rumors circulating of police forces actively going inside hospitals to gun down people, also going to people's houses to search them. The moment this happened and I read the news, I knew there was going to be chaos following. But what I was not expecting was the massive fire that was lit within the country and the international community. Within a matter of hours, the social media ban was lifted, but it was too late. The students that were murdered became martyrs. The entire country in the next 12 hours was burned down. There's videos of ministers getting chased out, the houses completely looted and burned, government buildings like the most historical Darbar Square burned. The prime minister immediately resigned and he fled the country. Many politicians also ran away. As of recording this, things have settled down a lot. But the country actually remained without any government, and the army was at that point controlling and patrolling the street to help ease the chaos. There was a lot of uncertainty during that 24 hours. The world was watching. We were watching from abroad, and we were really hoping for the best. Why am I bringing up all this? I think through all this, a lot of us felt a sense of responsibility and guilt, especially if you're Nepali. I certainly wish I could have helped, but I don't think it was limited to just people of the same origin. In fact, I remember waking up with so much rage. At times, my mind was flooded with like emotions that I had not really experienced in the past. Like this sense of justice and like, I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. It was chaotic that first day after the shootings happened. My feed was just filled with so many pictures like that, and it was horrifying. And I was constantly doom scrolling. I'm just trying to help. I didn't know what to do. I was feeling very helpless. Like, what can I do at all? Like, I just didn't know. And I'm sure many people feel that way when these things happen, right? But whether or not you are Nepali or Indonesian or not Asian, whatever, all of us deeply relate to this feeling of wanting to fight for liberation and well-being for people, right? Some of us are clearly able to enjoy this, including myself, while others are not. Yet, the reason comes down almost purely to luck. The luck of being born into the right country, the right culture, if you will, the right set of families, right? Not really deserving of those necessarily, it's just you happen to be born there. The polarity between deserving of our success and yet understanding the privilege we have had to get that is not afforded to many others, I think that's what causes so much mental anguish in these situations. But especially for me, I mean, guilt definitely overcame me so much that week. Yet, I don't think it's a right response or a noble response to feel guilty. To parse out those feelings of taking responsibility, yet not feeling guilt, to celebrate my own success while understanding the privilege that led to them. How do we go about doing that? That's what I'm trying to answer. I do feel very responsible for this in some ways. Not because I necessarily caused it, but because of my own weaknesses. I'm tired of feeling like I'm weak and powerless. What is it that holds me back from being that symbol of freedom and unbound expression, and completely liberated and compassionate and wise and fully competent? In many ways, each of us play a role in vacuums that lead to corrupt people being in power. Each of us play a role in the chaos that ensues. It might be something that we did or something that we did not do. We are all responsible for it in some ways, right? I don't know the right way to answer that question. Despite me feeling that, I also understand that it sounds kind of naive to say take responsibility. All I know is that in my own life, I want to be free of other people's gazing eyes, just completely utterly able to take in this moment for what it is, not addicted to anything, social media validations, nor like preaching anything necessarily for the TikTok trends and Instagram or whatever, or being overtaken by the massive amount of consumerism being shoved down my face. I do feel like the sense of revolution that we want has to start internally always. It just starts for me by thinking clearly, right? Again, I say all that, but I don't know what the balance between helping others and clearing your own mind is. The masses are wrong. Alone, I am right? I understand what to think and speak when I'm alone, like right now, right? Together, I have to compromise and connect, right? I don't know the answer to that either. I will say though that the confusion and polarity caused by these events require me to be here fully. I cannot be there, I cannot be there. I have to be here. And in times like this, that sense of presence is one thing that has calmed me. And funnily enough, that's actually what accountability and responsibility did for me. It made me easier to live here in this moment, whether or not I'm actually responsible for what happened, and it helped me strategize my next step. In the following days after the country was ravaged, the Gen Z youth took to the street to clean everything. They were cleaning the debris, the trash, and even helping with rescue attempts. People were also actively forcing the looters and thieves to return what they stole. There are hundreds of videos like this of showing kids clean the street and shaming looters while still protesting and actively working to fight corruption. It was really deeply inspiring. I just woke up today and found out that a Discord server has now elected the first female Prime Minister of Nepal. A Discord server had held a lot of conversations after the parliament burned down. And there's a hope. There's a 6-month period where she's going to be Prime Minister, and it looks like there might be a peaceful transition of power. We shall see. Things are uncertain, but there's hope. But I bring that up because whether or not people took part in the looting and vandalism, which majority obviously did not, people took responsibility, people took part in the conversation, and everyone wanted what was best for each other. It really did look like the world was on Nepal's side as well. We shall see what happens next, but I do think that sense of responsibility gave me a lot of hope and a lot of inspiration as well. And I think we could bring that sense of connectedness to all parts of our life. We really do not have to have any enemies whatsoever. And in this way, I think responsibility and compassion are the same side of two coins, or whatever the phrase is. Yes, I am not technically responsible for every single thing that happens in this world, or for your suffering. But having your friend suffer obviously makes you suffer as well, doesn't it? Or at least it increases the chance of you being hurt. Having a friend feel joy actually does increase the clarity of your own mind too. So if I joyfully accept helping you, it definitely helps me in some ways as well. I don't know, I'm still parse out the words for how compassion and easing my own suffering is worked out. In experience though, I definitely feel it. The one has always helped the other for me. Giving returns so much more than taking, so much more. Even on the most selfish level, taking responsibility for everything that's happened in this world, in the country that I was born in, has helped me more than I thought. The weight of the world at that week felt like it was on my shoulders in some ways, and I think a lot of us felt that way. It doesn't have to be. My sense of clarity and happiness did not need to disappear for me to fulfill my duty. In fact, being those two things, happy, clear, has helped me so far. So by voluntarily taking responsibility, the same way that the Nepali kids and Gen Z and some of the other people came out and cleaned the streets and actually stopped burning down the whole country, even though they might have been fully justified given what had happened previously. By voluntarily taking responsibility, the word of responsibility changed entirely. Instead of a burden, it became an understanding and a way to connect with others, and a way to connect with our causal link in the world. Whether you reported on the incident as it was happening, shared a post from a Nepali person doing that, those are all part of a step that actually brought about change, because we literally are interlinked. When my mind is filled with pristine awareness, it radiates to the world, and the world radiates it back. I do firmly believe that. And it's really interesting to me that the Jolly Roger flag, I think the One Piece flag was being waved, because in so many ways, Luffy is an example of someone who takes responsibility but doesn't get bogged down. So far, at least. I haven't finished the whole show. I'm only in episode like 400. Like, I know he always helps out the people and his friends, and he really does consider the world his friend in some way. Yet, he is free and liberated. He's not weighed down by the world. And of course, Thorfinn from Vinland Saga, the one that still sends a chill down my spine. You have no enemies, not a single one. I think the videos that came out of this protest and this revolution in Nepal has so many great examples of people having fun. They were like aura farming, like this Indonesian bow kid, or helping rescue dogs of ministers that were corrupt and had ran away from the country that they helped burn. They were playing Uno, making TikTok dances. There's a lightness and unseriousness to how Gen Z protested and took responsibility at the same time. And I think that balance is the way. That is what responsibility is, type shit. Taking responsibility without feeling guilt, celebrating success while understanding the privileges that led to them, creating positive change. These things are actually possible with compassion. We are always linked. And in that way, I do think I am responsible for everything. I hope everything does work out, and I'll do my best to play a part.